Hello and welcome to Mastering Microsoft Excel video series. This is video number 17. We are going to talk about creating charts in Excel. Without much ado, let's get into the Excel and let's start creating some charts. This is the file we're going to use for creating the charts. First, I'm going to take you through what are the problems you will encounter when you create the charts, why such problems are coming up, and how do you resolve those problems. Does Excel has any help to handle such issues? We will focus on those things. Once you understand those basics, the rest of the journey will be a cakewalk for you. Okay, so let's see what is the issue I will face when I'm going to create a simple chart. Now the data what I'm showing you over here is yearly how each region has performed. Okay, so let's consider these numbers like number of deals we have won, or number of sales we have done, or number of contracts we have completed, whatever you can relate it to. So now let's say I would love to create a chart just to present the Chennai performance alone. So when I select these two columns, we might think it's a pretty easy because you just need to select and go to the insert tab, go to the chart which you want to create and just choose the one which you wanted, and that's going to do it. But watch closely, we just did that, but unfortunately the chart is not reflecting what I really want to see. Why this is happening? What I was expecting here is the years 2018 to 2024. I was expecting that to be shown in the x-axis, but it is not presented in the x-axis. I was curious to know where these numbers 67, 16, where they are plotted. So if you could see here, the years are also considered as a data point and they also got plotted, and that's why you see these blue color bars which are around 2000 range. Yeah, so this is the issue we're talking about while creating the charts in Excel. So let's quickly understand how Excel treats your data when you're trying to create a chart by selecting the data. So I'm going to delete this one. When you select the data for a creation of charts, the first column of your selection will always be considered for the x-axis. So if that is the case, I should have seen the years in the x-axis. Am I right? But we didn't see it. Why we did not see it? There comes the second point. So the first point is whatever data I'm selecting, the first column of my selection is going to be considered for the x-axis. Now the second pointer is if the first column going to contain numbers or numerical values, then that will be treated as a data point. It will not be treated as an axis label. So that is what happened here. So if you see the first column of a selection for the chart, the first column contains the numbers 2018 to 2024. For us, they are years, but Excel treats them as a simple whole numbers. And that's why it thought that this is also a data point which I should be plotting it on the chart. So we didn't see that. So how do we resolve this problem? So let me delete the chart. The easiest way to resolve this problem is simply delete the first column heading using the delete key. Select the columns which you want to take it for the chart, go to the insert tab, go to the chart and choose the chart, and there you go, the problem got resolved. So let me repeat it. All you got to do is before selecting the data, just delete the heading of the first column of your data if the first column contains numbers. If the first column contains a text, you don't have to do this because automatically it's going to be picked up in the x-axis. Let me show you quickly here. Instead of, okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and show you something here. Instead of this, I'm going to have something like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So now they are not numbers, they are text right now. So when I select these two, when I go for the chart, as you can see, it automatically came in the x-axis, and that's how Excel treats your first column. So be careful to check what do you have in the first column of your selection. If they are numbers, simply delete the header, select, create the chart. Once you got the chart, you can go back and put the heading back again. It's not going to disturb your chart which you already created. Yeah. Okay, I've shown you what happens when you have the first column as numbers. and how do you resolve them so easily and so quickly. But that's a trick. But is there a process we have to handle such problems like x-axis issues or y-axis issues? What's the proper way to handle it? So let's say, for example, I want to select these two. I'm going to create the chart just like we did last time. Now I'm actually facing the same problem. So how do I resolve it? Right click on the chart and you can go for the choice select data. When I click on it, this box you should understand in order to handle this more effectively, because this is a very important knowledge area. If you have this knowledge, then you can manage the charts very easily. So the first box on the top is literally showing you the cells which you selected for creating your chart. There are two sections here, legend entries which says series and horizontal category access label. So these two sections you got to understand it. Where you see legend entries and the word series is nothing but referring to every column data. So the word series means every column data is called series. So we have selected two series, that's why you see here. So one series name is yours, another series names is Chennai. How did it pick up the name automatically? The first the cell of your selection, if it's a text apart from numbers, it will treat that as a heading and it takes that heading as a name for that series. So let me repeat it again. Every column of your data is considered as a series. Now in this section, legend entry sections, whichever series are reflecting here, that is actually y-axis area. So years and Chennai both are taken into y-axis, meaning it has been considered as a data point. But what is considered in the x-axis, you can see horizontal category axis. So that means what is considered in the x-axis, just the number of data points you have in a series. So if you see both the series, the number of data points we have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's why it gave you the number right from 1 to 7. There are 7 data points in each data series. So if you face this problem, the first thing what you got to do is remove the series which is appearing on the wrong side of this dialog box. So the year is not supposed to be reflecting in the y-axis section. This is not a value to be plotted. This should be a label for the x-axis. So I want to select this and use the remove button. You might think why I cannot use this button switch row to column, because if I use it, both of these guys will be switching over and this entire visual will get disturbed. So that's why we are not using it. Select the years and remove it. Now let's come to the right side where you see this edit button. Click, and I don't want to see 1 to 3 over there. What I want to see instead is 2018 to 2024, these years. So the moment I select it and click OK and OK again, now my chart got properly set. Okay, so I want the years on the x-axis, it came on the x-axis, and I want the data points to be plotted on the y-axis, it got plotted on the y-axis. That's how you resolve the x-axis y-axis problem. So how did we resolve it? Right click on the chart, go to select data, remove the unwanted column or the series from the y-axis section, which is legend entries section. Once you removed it, then go to the horizontal section, click the edit button and select whichever series you want to show on the x-axis as a label. Okay, so this was the story before we got an interesting tool in the year 2013. Before that, we were doing it in this process of resolving the x and y axis problem. And second issue, most of the users who are newcomer to Excel or an intermediate level user, the predominant challenge these guys have faced is what kind of a chart is the best one for my data. So nobody was able to say that confidently that this is a type of chart I have to go for this kind of data. Most of the organizations in my training experience, when I went for the training, what I observed is some of the charts were created long time back by somebody, and the legacy follows. Everybody are using the same chart. But if I question them, why did you went for such a chart type? There's no answer for it. The only answer I could get is my senior had it, so I don't want to change it. And my boss also loves to see in this way, so I started following it. But they are not sure why did they pick up such a visual for such a data. Okay, so to handle this kind of problems, Microsoft came up with a very interesting tool, which we're going to see right now. So I'm going to clear this out and select these two columns again. If I go to the Insert tab and if I go to the Chart section, the tool which I'm referring is recommended charts. So when I click on the recommended charts, this is going to take my data which I have selected it, and it's going to start showing me that these are the different ways your data can be visualized, which is quite amazing. And not only that, if you observe very carefully, that x-axis issue is also taken care of. So it says that, hey, you got a yearly pattern of data. So I hope you are trying to study a trend on this data. Would you like to go for a line chart? That's what it is asking, because line charts are meant for studying the trend. And it's saying, are you trying to compare year on year performance here? Then you can go for column chart or the bar chart. Are you trying to study any relationship between two different categories, like x, if x is this much, y is impacted this much? Are you trying to study any relationship between two variables? Then you could go for scatter charts. Are you trying to study the volume as well as the trend together? Okay, then it shows that you can go for stacked area. So there is a lot of choices over here. That is something quite amazing, which you can click and keep looking for. It's like a shopping which you can keep looking and picking it up. But don't pick a chart because you liked it. Pick a chart which is synchronized with your thought process. Yeah, so that means you should be very clear about your objectivity when you're creating a visual. So I was telling in the beginning that there's only a few charts used in the corporate when you're talking about data visualization. The most common one are 4 or 5 different type of charts. In my experience, I've seen it. The first type of chart is a bar chart. Bar charts are always picked up and used when they are trying to do a comparison between the categories, or comparison year on year, month on month, or between the regions. So whenever you do comparison, then you would require a bar chart or a column chart. Column chart means a vertical bar, and a bar chart means the bar would be horizontal. Now, the second type of charts very often we can see is a line chart. Line chart would be required when you are studying a trend over a period. So how is the sales over 10 years? How is the production over 10 years? Okay, how is the the complaints have been coming from the customer side for the last 6 months? So are they going down? Are they going up? So whenever you're trying to study a trend, line chart will be the better choice for you. Okay, the other type of chart is the pie chart, which is required when you're trying to show the contribution or the distribution on the numbers. So how much percentage is contributed by this particular entity or this particular country, this particular region, or this particular person. When you're trying to do a contribution or a distribution study, then pie chart or the donut chart, anything will hold good. You can go for it. Now, rest of the two type of charts. So what are the charts I've shown you so far or talked about so far is bar chart, line chart, and pie chart. Rest of the two type of charts which I want to talk to you right now is very occasional, unless otherwise you are an R&D or in data analytics sides where you're trying to study a relationship. So when you're trying to study a relationship between two variables, X and Y, then you might require something called scatter charts. Scatter charts will help you to do a comparison between two sets of variables like X and Y. Example, man hours versus the production. Okay, so or else the temperature versus the ice cream sales when you're trying to study, then there will be a relationship between them. So it is better to go for a scatter charts rather than going for a line charts those time. And there is also another type of chart in the relationship study which is called bubble chart. When you have X, Y, and Z, when you got 3 variables, then yes, you can go for the bubble chart. So the fourth type of chart is the relationship charts, which is a scatter chart, or you can go for bubble chart. The last type of chart, the fifth chart, which we see a lot used by the consulting firms, the finance departments a lot, is waterfall chart. Waterfall chart is basically meant to show how a number moved up or moved down over a period. Example, this will hold good when I am doing showing something on budget. So let's say, for example, start of the financial year we had around 12 crore, and every month there is a incoming of the fund and outgoing of the fund. So we keep getting win and loss, or profit and loss, whatever. The numbers will keep adding up and decreasing, adding up and decreasing. So end of the financial year, where are we? So we started from 12 crore, and where are we in the end of the financial year? Are we in the 18 crore? Are we in 7 crore? So we want to show that the behavior over a period of number. So when you want to study those kind of things, then yes, waterfall chart will hold good for you. In this video, we'll be talking about the bar chart, the line chart, and the pie chart. So while creating these charts, how do you add the necessary components, and how do you make your chart to look really good? What are the things you should have in the chart? What are things you should avoid having on the chart? We will talk about those things right now. All right, so we're going to close this one. So I'm going to use the same data to show you all the 3 or 4 different types of visualizations. So first, let's say, for example, I want to talk about how is the 3 region performance year on year. So I want to compare each region performance in each year. So be very, very clear on your objective. I told you, I want to compare each region performance in each year. So if that is your requirement, then what kind of a chart you should go for? I want to go for the vertical bar chart. I want to click this one. You can see I'm facing the x-axis issue. It's not coming in properly. So to handle it, I'm going to go ahead, right click on the chart, go to select data, and I could see the years are reflecting in the wrong place. I want to select that and remove it. I go to the right side where it says horizontal, click on the edit, and I'm going to choose my years over here, click OK, and OK again. We got the chart corrected. So once you got the chart, what are the necessary components you should have on the chart to make your chart complete? So first thing, you should have a title, because that is going to tell the audience what this chart is all about. So it's better to have a perfect title. So I'm going to say yearly regional performance. All right. Then second thing I should have definitely is the legend, because what each color is representing is very important for me. So the red stands for Chennai, and green stands for Hyderabad, and the purple stands for the Delhi. Okay, but how much they are? So I need to add the numbers on top of these bars. So what are those are called? Those are called data labels. So first one is chart title, the next one is legend, and the next one we're going to add is data label. So how do we add the things which you wanted on the chart if they are missing? So when you click on the chart, look at the top right corner, you see this plus sign. When you click on it, it will give you access to all the chart elements which you want to have it in your chart. So there are a few things by default it will be there, so it will be activated already, but there are things which you need, you can activate it when you don't have it on the chart. So the one which I need right now is a data label, which I'm missing on the chart data series. So I'm going to activate it. I got the numbers on top of the bars. What else I should have definitely is axis titles. So what am I measuring on the y-axis? What am I measuring on the x-axis? Both have to be presented very clearly. Only then the person would understand what this visual is communicating. So I'm typing those words which make sense. You can work on the fonts just like you edit the normal fonts. You can select those boxes and you can do additions on font level, color level, all those stuffs. Yeah, so we got the axis title, we got the legend, we got the chart title, we got the data label. These are the minimal components you should have on the chart to call your chart as a complete chart. So rest of the things are all additional, optional. I would say it is cluttering. So we're going to remove those additional things. Which are the things I don't want is these grid lines. I don't want them, because already I have these numbers listed on it. So there's no requirement to have these grid lines anymore. And these axis values, I don't need it anymore, because I already have the numbers on it, which already speaks about it. So there's no need for it. Okay, so this makes my chart really complete. and my chart is now ready to go to the report or the presentation, whatever it is. So we created a column chart. Reason why we created this column chart, because we want to do a comparison year on year for each region. We want to compare and see. Now what's the second type of chart we're gonna do is, suppose if my requirement is year on year how these three regions put together has performed. Let me repeat the words. Year on year how these three regions put together have performed. So I want to compare that and see. Select the data. Let's go to the insert tab and let's go to the column chart category, and that's the time you should go for stacked column chart. So stacked column chart is the chart which you should think about when you want to do a comparison collectively, not individually. Whereas the clustered column, the first one which we created is a clustered column chart. This you should go when you want to compare individually. So I want to compare year on year each region. Individually I want to compare. If that's your requirement, we have to go for clustered column chart. So this is your clustered column chart. But this is your stacked column chart. This is required when you want to compare collectively together how they performed. Okay, so this is the next type of representations. All right, so let's say you want to know how was the sales trend over a period. All these years, any region has shown any kind of a behavior like a spike on the sales anytime in any year. You want to learn the trend of the region. So the question is, do you want to see them together or you want to see them individually? So let's say, for example, I want to show it individually. I can select the year and the region which I want to compare. I can go to insert tab and I can go to the line chart and I can choose the line chart, the first one. But see it creates a problem on the x-axis. I would love to handle this by using the recommended charts. So there is the chart which I have it when I click. So here we got the trend for Chennai, so you can see it. So until we have a dip from 2020 to 2022, and then right after 2022 there was a good hike we can see in the sales. So let's say if I want to see the Hyderabad trend, so I can select the years, hold the control key, select Hyderabad. Now years and Hyderabad both are selected. I go to the insert tab, recommended charts, and this is for Hyderabad. So we got Hyderabad. So likewise I can create for Delhi as well. So when you want to study the trend, the line chart is the best one for it. Yeah. All right. So we have seen almost three types of charts: clustered column, stacked column, and the line chart. So let's say I want to study the distribution. I want to know which year contributed a lot. Right from the year 2018 to 24, collectively, let's say we have made a certain amount of revenue. We want to know which year has contributed a lot. So let's say I want to select, when it comes to pie chart, you can have only one series column. The other one will be a label. So what do I mean by one series column? Pie chart is always distribution of each category against the total. So what I'm trying to show you is it will add all these numbers and calculate 67 is how much percentage of this total, and 69 is how much percentage of the entire total of Chennai. So that's what it's going to do. So you cannot create a pie chart for multiple column datas like this. When you create a pie chart for these, it won't make any sense. Yeah. So pie charts, when you're trying to create, it's always one data series column, in this case Chennai. Why am I selecting this one? Because I need the data label. So for this 67, this should be the label. So for 69, 2019 should be labeled, because if I don't give it, what happens then, it will come like 1 2 3 4. See here, 1 2 3 4. That is something I don't want to have it. I want to have the years. So when you create pie charts, one column you will select which is for the axis label, one for the actual value. Okay, so I'm going to go to the insert tab and I go to the pie chart family. I click here, and I'm trying to study how this is presenting. So again, I'm facing the same problem, the x-axis issue. So what I'm going to do, so handle this with the help of recommended charts, and I'm going to go ahead and pick up the one which I wanted. Click OK, and that is my pie chart. Now let's try to add. You already learned how do we add the required elements. You can see this, the legends are already there. So I want to help you out by just zooming this up. Okay, let's avoid the distractions a little bit. Watch it. So when it comes to pie chart, the best practice is don't have the legend. So work on your data label in such a way. So I click on this plus sign, go to data label, and I click this rightward pointing arrow. Then I go to more options. So it gives me choices to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and activate percentage. I want only the percentage, not the values, along with the category name will be good. And I'm not able to see them. It will be better if I could have the label position outside the circle. So when I choose that, that is perfectly fine. So I want to close this one. Now I don't need this legend because the years are reflected right after that slices. So I can go to this plus sign again. So let me zoom back. So click this plus sign. I could say deselect the legend. So we don't need the legend. So I can increase the font size of these guys. So you can see right now legibly. So that's why I said when you go for a pie chart, avoid having the legends, because if you have the labels accordingly placed, you don't need the legend at all. Yeah. So this title, you definitely have to put on what's your actual title, whatever the title, type inside, then do. But I'm going to show you something what you can do in pie chart which you cannot do in any other chart, but pie chart gives you that flexibility. What is that flexibility? Let me show you. When I click on one of the slices, it selects all the slices. When I click on the slice again, it selects only that slice. When I click and drag it little outside, it gets separated from the entire family. This is something I would be using it when I'm trying to show that this is the major contributor. So I want to show that during my presentation or in my report. And this is something quite amazing which you can do it in the pie charts. This is called explosion of the pie. So once you're done, and you can always bring it back and put it inside the family. So you can actually present it like this, whichever you want to present it outwardly, pointing out just to grab the attention of the audience. You can do that, which is something possible in pie chart. Yeah. So you have seen a clustered column chart, you have seen a stacked column chart, you have seen a line chart, you have seen a pie chart. The last visual which I want to show you as a part of this video is the scatter chart. Well, I'm going to show you just a sample of it, but this is not the right data for it, but just to get the feel, just to get the experience of that. So I want to select these two numbers. All I'm trying to study is when Hyderabad is 58 around, what's happening on Delhi. So does the Hyderabad sale is having any impact on the Delhi sale? You get what I'm saying? I'm trying to study that does Hyderabad sale has any impact over the Delhi sale? Is there any kind of outlier or somewhere we have outperformed breaking these kind of behavior? Or the third type of question which might come to me is what is the most of the sales are happening, or what's the average number of sales are happening? What's the common number of sales I'm getting between Hyderabad and Delhi? So like I said, this is not the right number or the right example we're talking about, but if you have a two variable component, these kind of studies people would always love to do. Okay. So I'm going to say mostly statistician will use this to study the correlation between the two variables, and sometimes these are also used by statistician to understand is there any outlier in the data set. Okay, watch this. I'm going to select these two numbers. I'm going to go for the insert tab, recommended charts, and I'm going to go for, this is the scatter chart that I'm talking about. When I click OK, let me show you Guys, can you understand what you look at? So the x-axis, what has been taken for x-axis, what has taken for y-axis? Let's try to understand that. Right click on the chart, go to select data and click on the edit button under the legend entries, and it shows, hey, I've taken for x-axis the Hyderabad numbers, I've taken for y-axis the Delhi number. So what do you see in the x-axis is Hyderabad, and what do you see in the y is Delhi. Now, now, what we are trying to see here is when Hyderabad is 58, where is Delhi? That's what we are trying to see. When Hyderabad is 58, Delhi is 75. Okay, so that's how we need to see. When Hyderabad is 55, where is Delhi? 54. This data point. Okay, if you keep the mouse over it, it shows the data points with the numbers on it. But if you could observe the chart very closely, there is not much difference in the performance because they are revolving around in the range of 50 to 80 and 40 to or 50 to 80. So both the regions are revolving around 50 to 80. Okay, but there is an outlier. Watch this one. What is outlier? A number which is extraordinarily different from the rest of the numbers. So you could see here it's 120, which has happened in 65. So I could see there's 120 sales has happened, or 120 contracts have been won in the year 2024. But whereas Delhi just got 65. When Delhi got 65, how come Hyderabad got 120? Is it a typo? Is it something really happened? Those are the kind of studies which people would love to do. Yeah. So guys, that brings us to the end of the video. So in this video, I've shown you what are the problems you will encounter when you create a chart, how Excel reads your data when you select a data, and if you face the x-axis, y-axis problem, how do you resolve them, the trick, the process, the tool. We have seen it, and I've shown you when to go for clustered column chart, when to go for a line chart, when to go for a pie chart, and especially when you go for a pie chart, how do you need to manage the labels and explosion component of the pie chart. And last but not the least, we have seen the scatter chart, which talks about the relationship between two variables and which can help us to find even the outlier in the data set as well. Yeah, but there is much more coming up regarding the charts in the coming up videos, but this video will give you a good heads up when it comes to creating the charts. So the file will be available for you to download to practice. Use the downloadable link to download and practice it. In case if you face any issues, please raise your questions and queries in the comment section. I'll be happy to respond to that. So we will meet again with another interesting input. Until then, take care of yourself. Signing off, Hariharan.